Still fixing these trailer roofs here and there. I think this is the fourth one I've done. Anyway, I ain't shooting a whole lot of video of them trailer roofs. I did a video of it, and it's repetitive work. It's not much to show you that you haven't seen on it. So I do have something different here in the shop, and I wanted to mention about when I worked on this before. Last year in the middle of the summer, I did a video on repairing a John Deere tractor part on an old John Deere tractor. And it was a piece of a cutter bar. We did the test on it to see if it was cast steel or cast iron. And it turned out to be cast steel. So I welded it up with a 7018, and that tractor is here for something else. So I think this is a 51. I'm thinking it's a 1951 two-cylinder inline two-popper, 6-volt generator, not an alternator, generator. So this is different, you know, these are neat. These wheels are cool on these. You can slide these in and out. You can make this thing real narrow or really, really wide. He's got it. He's not got it set as wide as you can go, but you can tell right there that he's got it pretty wide. That thing would be hard to flip over as wide as he's got it. So anyway, the part that I welded on this before was part of this cutter bar right here. And that was last summer. Welded that up, and you know, that was good. That was rescued that. But I got a couple things going on now where on this cutter bar there's a piece there missing, and I think probably both these pieces I could show you better with that bar down. So let's put the bar down. So looking at this right here is one thing he found that is a real problem for this cutter bar. See, your blades right here, they're gonna reciprocate like this. And you can see right here is a part that is going over top of a plate like this one back here, and it's bolted on there in a way that it allows this to reciprocate. This piece right here, it's and it's sliding, and this piece will allow it to slide, but still it's made where it'll hold it in there. Well, the one that was right here that did that would have went over this piece and bolted onto this, it's gone. It's up there in the meta somewhere and probably ain't never gonna find it. So we're gonna have to make one, and that's gonna be the first part of what needs to be done to this. And then the other thing that he showed me is a part that he lost off this tractor a long time ago. And he made this himself, somewhat repurposed a part off an old farmall. This part right here is the part that keeps this cutter bar from going down too low out here at the end. So this is going to ride on the ground quite a bit from time to time. Not always, but from time to time it'll ride on the ground, and you could adjust a little bit here. There's a slot, and this piece is off. He took that off of a Farmall cutter bar and adapted it to go on this John Deere, and it's about shot. It's paper thin. It's about gone, and it's not really. He's thinking it ain't gonna make it the year, so he wanted something else made for this. And when he showed me this, that thing's sharp on the edge like a knife. It's wore so thin. So when he first showed me this and I saw the curve to it, very first thing I said when he showed me that and I saw that curve, I said, boy, it'd be nice to have an old leaf spring, because if we make that out of mild steel, you know, that mild steel just wear right through rubbing on the ground. And he said, man, I got an old trailer up there. It's no good. It's got leaf springs on it. So we jumped in a super service truck and run up there and pulled out torch hose and turned the tanks on and hacked us off a hunk of leaf spring. So we got this old leaf spring off that old trailer up there. It's already got a curve to it. And of course, that's going to be a pretty good choice for making one of them. That metal from that leaf spring, you know, it's way, way harder than a piece of mild steel. So rubbing on the ground like that, you know, it shouldn't wear through as fast like a piece of mild steel would wear right through. And the other thing is it's a spring steel. So it should be all right for, you know, taking that boing, 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 hitting the ground whenever it does. So the only thing else that I thought of whenever we first looked at this is about this first part. If you see how this has got a slope to it, where this is flat this way and this has quite a slope that way, for a piece to go right here and then me put another piece flat, what I kind of need right here is a wedge. There ain't very many pieces of steel you can buy, flat bars or whatever, that are shaped like a wedge, where they're thicker on one side and thin on the other. And you know, they don't make flat bars and stuff like that. But the first thing I thought of when I saw that was, if I was going to try to make something for that, what if I used the leg of a piece of channel? You know, if you look at the leg of a piece of channel iron near the web is thicker, and it comes down, you know, at the toe, it's almost to a point. So we'll look into cutting a piece of channel and see if we can get that to work for that, and find some kind of a hard piece of metal to put on top of it to go over the cutter bar for where it's gonna slide on right there, and see if we can get this whole thing fixed. Didn't really find a piece of channel for that. The channel that I did find is way too thick and heavy. So I ended up, let me show you this piece of flat bar I made. You got one hole here that's the 7/16. I measured a 7/16 for that stopper, and I went and got a bolt for that, and I think it's a 1/2 inch. I drilled a 1/2 inch hole for that. And this is pretty tight right here, and that's fine. With this being a piece of mild steel, that's gonna wear in quick right there. So what I'm looking at is, with that bolted down, I'll need another piece that goes right here. So I'm gonna have to go find something, and it can't be too thick, because it's gotta, I guess it could be thick if it's not very wide. But we're gonna need one. We're gonna need a piece right on top of this to hold that in there when it's reciprocating, when it's sliding. So let's see what else we can find. So with that plate just tacked up, I fired it up and I ran it to see if I could see it, like if it was going to bind, and I knew it would rub. It's going to wear itself in. So what we're seeing is here on the end is that contact right there where it was sliding. And then if we look right there, that contact would be back here. Right here where this is moving. And it didn't seem to bind at all. And I know it's going to wear itself in. So I think this is good. I'm going to weld this up. And I got to figure out how I'm going to go about doing that, because I like how it's tacked up right now. But I would like to get a pretty solid bead in here. And in order to do that, I think I'm going to have to grind a bunch out of it. So grinding that the way I did, cutting into it with that Big Daddy 9-inch grinder, that's pretty much, it's solid. Full penetration weld. I actually blew through it a little bit there, places where I ground it too thin, but I'd rather do that than not bevel it or not grind it enough. So this goes in here like this, and we'll put that bolt back. So that's bolted in where it goes, and that should hold that from falling out of there. And I think what I'm going to do, I've got my homemade edge red here. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to fire this thing up and run it and do like a break-in on it by spraying it with that edge red, and that'll provide it some lubricant. I imagine this harder steel is going to make its shape into that mild steel, and there'll probably be a lot of heat generated at first, but what I'm wanting to do overall is keep it cool and lubricated while it's running here for just the first few minutes. And I'm hoping that this will wear itself in with this other part and then kind of stop, like, you know, wear what it needs to wear and not wear out too fast. It may be that this needs to be made out of a much harder metal, but I would rather it wasn't right now, because if the mild steel will work, it'll save on this cutter bar, which might be harder to get than more mild steel. I could make, now that I know how to do that, I could make a bunch of them in a hurry. So we may want to make this sacrificial. So I don't know. We're going to do a little break-in on it here and see what happens. So I did that at first with that edge red, and you saw the smoke. You know, there's a lot more friction there than what we really would want. And it ain't hurting nothing, but I don't want to leave it that way. So I ended up taking it outside where I could spray it with a water hose, and I ran it a second time. And then I was actually hoping to see that it wore off what it needed to wear off, and then stopped suffering from so much friction, but it continued to be quite a bit more rubbing than what I feel like is acceptable. So I cooled it off and took it off, and I wanted to give you a good look at it. It's just that area right there. Back here on our rim, we're really good. That's great. But you can see where it's wearing its way into that area, but I don't want to do it too much like that whenever I know I can help it along with some sanding. And I'll show you the other side here. And you can see that has no groove in it at all. It's actually just got some color to it because of the mild steel that it's been rubbing on. So that's pretty much like I thought. That piece on the tractor is so hard, you ain't gonna hurt that piece. This is the one taking the brunt of the wear. But like I said, I want to help it. I don't want to force it to break in. If it's that much friction, then I need to do some sanding. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to sand some off this where I see that it needs material removed, and we'll try it again. So here's what we're looking like now. Right there's where all the friction was, and I sanded quite a bit off of that. So let's put it back on there, and I cleaned the other side, which that should help tell us. We should be able to get an idea when we watch it run again how much friction we're dealing with. There's no color to this metal. It didn't turn blue back here or anything. And I'm holding my finger on it. We don't even have enough friction now to burn my finger. So I didn't spray any water or oil or anything on it that time. So I'm saying we're great. We're good to go. It's not getting hot. You know, if we had friction, if we still had an issue, I wouldn't be able to put my hand on this like that after that's running. So we're fixed on that, and we're going to move on to the other part. I got this set up where it's easy to see what we're looking at. Got this curved shape on this old piece that's about gone. And it looks like the first part that I would want to make is that little hook. So let's do that. So what we got here, pretty much shaped like that one he had, except for it's not paper thin and all he hauled and whopper jawed. So I have to figure out how to mount it on there. That's it for that, y'all. Pretty cool old tractor. Thanks for watching.